great to be back in Iowa. You know, we have great memories here of the many trips now that we've been blessed to take here. You know, of course, the '08 campaign, and then the even more fun Tea Party rally that we had in Indianola. That was fun. We've had, oh gosh, chowing down on fried everything at your state fair, of course. And then one year, thinking that a bit after the fair, I was going to work some of it off. So we drive up to Storm Lake, and I'm thinking, there was a half marathon going on. I'm thinking, hey, I could go incognito. I'm going to jump into this race. And incognito, Latin for me, it means no makeup. No one, scare little children. So I'm running the race. I jump in there, and I am incognito. I'm thinking, I'm running in peace. You know, no one talking politics. Of course, I'm sucking air the whole way, so I can't talk anyway. But no, you know, press there with those suspicious thinking of there's signals. You know, oh, she's in Iowa. What is she doing? And it seems like the Iowa politicos too, very good at sensing. You know, who's coming, who's going, and the significance of your state, of course. So anyway, I'm running, but no press kind of bugging me about, are you going to run for president or not? Because that was the year of that question. So jumping in the race, I'm running across the finish line, and boom, there I am accused of running that race for political purposes. And I find out that, okay, yeah, I'm in Iowa. The race happened to be called Storm Lake's Jump Right In and Run race. Yes, I got a medal on Jump Right In. So of course the press like, you orchestrated that, you know, you came all the way to Iowa for that race. I'm like, oh yeah, ask Todd, you know, I'm the one who made him pull over for that day to run the race. Anyway, our best memories though are of the wonderful friends that we have made here, just good people, hard workers with love for this great country that they show with, you know, your work ethic, and with, shoot, even driving by your homes with the flags waving on front porches, where on any given night, I think a whole lot of you might be found out there on your porch, proudly clinging to your guns, your God, your Constitution. And it is because of that, because of you, that the rest of the country knows this part of America as the heartland. And last time I was here to campaign, it was for one of those friends whom we have made, and you know her as a soldier and a farmer and a good neighbor. And then, back then, I called her a pistol-packing, Harley-riding Mama Grizzly. And now I am thrilled to get to call her your Senator, Joni Ernst. Well, other friends too. It was here in Iowa that I first met a big, burly, bold, but kind of sheepdog, humble type of guy, a guy who wanted to help us out with security, and so happy to get to bring him to Iowa and get to know him very well, because he was a veteran, and you know my heart for the military. He was incredibly humble, and we became friends with him over the years, and Todd and he especially becoming friends. We learned more and more about his amazing story, and it is the story of so many of our vets, incredible sacrifice to protect our freedoms. And while we miss that particular friend now, we are so happy that the rest of America is getting to know more and more the story of American sniper Chris Kyle. It was here that we were introduced to Chris. Is breaking records all over this great nation. It's because America needs a hero again, and Chris Kyle has been that man. And screw the left in Hollywood who can't understand what it is that we see in someone like Chris Kyle and all of our vets. So the last couple days, my daughter Bristol and I, we have been at a great big gun show in Las Vegas. And there at the gun show, at the SHOT Show, getting to link up with Taya, with Chris Kyle's wife. And Taya throwing a big party there honoring vets, honoring those who have supported her cause now that Chris is gone, and Tara carrying on her husband's legacy, spending hours visiting with these vets, and like most military families, having that sincere appreciation for what other military families go through, so spending so much time with these other vets. Well, at this party, man, it seems like we're always kind of going rogue or something. Something always happens. We're at the party, and I'm with Taya. We're signing books, and in the back, this young, very energetic, very bold young vet, he holds up a sign, and it was bold, 4-letter message to Michael Moore that he'd written out. And I'm like, oh man, and me, I call him up front, you know, and he's holding the poster, and I'm looking at it, he's showing it to me, and of course pictures started snapping, you know, because I'm giving the poster the old thumbs up, and it was my thumb, you know, it wasn't any other finger, it was my thumb. Oh, that poster though, I mean, you've heard the term swear like a sailor, even though I think this guy was a soldier, you know, same thing. Well, anyway, someone snapping that photo, and we've taken a lot of heat over the last 2 days for being seen with this photo, with a 4-letter message to Michael Moore that he deserves. Well, I was thinking, okay, we'll take that heat. That's okay, because what the poster said is what the rest of us are thinking. It just said it. And what it really came down to was our message to those who don't understand, again, the opportunity they have to do whatever the heck they want to do, even if they are jerks. Because it is our vets, our active service members who are out there protecting their freedom to be jerks. If you love freedom, you thank a vet. And I know that you guys get that, and that's why I am glad to be in Iowa, because I am among friends who understand that foundational aspect of America. We appreciate our vets. Okay, and one other, this connection to Iowa before I get to the meat of the speech, okay? Someone else who hails from the Hawkeye State, just, you know, speaking of Bristol, being here with me, part of the family. Maybe you've seen her in the news recently because photos of her were posted, and they were candid photos. She was au natural, just nothing on but leather, strip of leather. A collar, my dog, Jill Hadassah. She's from Iowa. She was trained here in Iowa, Jill was, and as Congressman King was alluding to, another scandal with the Palins. These pictures were posted of her because she has been trained as a companion for my youngest child, Trig, who has special needs. And this beautiful, strapping, healthy lab of ours, Jill, she was trained by the same talent at the Puppy Jake Foundation that trains service dogs for our vets. Yes. So we've been honored to get to be a part of that organization and that charity and our dog. We're happy that Jill is from Puppy Jake Foundation, our connection to Iowa. So anyway, these pictures, well, it was just scandalous that I would show our big, strapping, as I say, healthy lab, letting my little tiny boy use her as a stepping stool to get to reach the kitchen sink. He kind of stood on her and looked down into the sink. I took a picture and I said, hey, this is what turning a stumbling block into a stepping stone is all about, and we should all live that. Totally innocent. Who in the world would have thunk that it would become this huge scandal that these pictures were? But the usual suspects, they just went loco. They just went absolutely crazy. And, you know, yeah, the rest of this tinderbox of a world, everything that's going on in it, right? And yet this was just the most outrageous thing that had happened. PETA, barking their tired old death threats against us, and I'm thinking, oh, get in line, weasels, you know? Yeah. They're howling through the press, you know, cruelty to animals, Sarah Palin, which surprised me considering what it does that Joni does to those poor defenseless, really great taste in Iowa hogs. Yeah. Not to mention what the president admitted to doing to those innocent Indonesian puppies, you know. So Jill Hadasha, she is wonderful. She's another connection to Iowa, and her motto is, better a stepping stone than a snack. Yeah. Better stepped on than scarfed up. And yet, media crucified us, but that's all right. We're getting used to that. Thank you so much, Citizens United. Awesome group. Thank you for the invitation. And of course, Congressman Steve King. My goodness, Steve, very strong. He going rogue there in D.C., putting principle over party privilege by being one of the brave, one of the few to actually pull the lever for change in congressional leadership so we can have new energy and we can have that conservative movement, the policies that will get the country back on the right track. He voted for that change. Mostly, though, I thank you for being here. Thank you. Today, you hearing many words from many different people, but one thing is in common, and that is we believe what Ronald Reagan believed. That is, we are a people who have a government. It's not a government that has a people. And it was Jefferson warning, when the people fear their government, there's tyranny. But when government fears the people, there's freedom. We're here in the name of freedom. So we are here in that name of freedom, and you, Iowa, you get to help decide who will fight for it. You'll caucus to help choose our next president. It's just about a year from now. Can't come soon enough. It's about dang time. And candidates will come here to earn your vote. The rest of America watching and trusting Iowa to put them through the test, to ensure that they are ready for war. And it is war. It's war for the future of our country. It's war for the sovereignty and solvency of the United States of America. Now the other side, the far left, well, they see a need for change. But it's by offering real change again, you know, coronation, rinse, repeat, or Clinton, rinse, repeat, Clinton, rinse, repeat. That's change. These leftists, they're promoting these ready for campaigns. They say, ready for Hillary. Well, these hopey-changey, astroturfy, DC-based businesses that are disguised as grassroots, they're nothing new. But don't you wonder what the White House thinks of their peeps out there prancing around, squealing that, oh, they're ready for someone else. They have to admit it even. Because they know that he who was the one. Now, with tea time on the mind, he is so over it. America, he's just not that into you. But the $18 trillion question, though, is, well, do the candidates that they're ready for represent any real hope, any change? Or is it more of the same old failed statism that we suffer from? What can they do differently to put an economy on the side of the middle class instead of the side of their crony capitalists? Will they worry more about securing our borders and less about securing a primo tea time? How will they protect our standing across the world when they can't even protect an ambassador? When will they listen to concerns of we the people instead of listening in on our phone calls? And how will they axe Obamacare? Remember, this started as Hillary Care. When will they let us control our own care? What will they do to stop causing our pain and start feeling it again? Well, in other words, is Hillary a new Democrat or an old one? Now, the press asks, The press asking, can anyone stop Hillary? This is to forego a conclusion, right? It's to scare us off and convince us that a pantsuit can crush patriots? Okay, that's what this is all about. Hey, Iowa, can anyone stop Hillary? Yeah, and let's borrow a phrase. Yes, we can. And it starts here and it starts now. From bad comes good. That's been one of my mantras. From very bad can come very good. So employ that as we look back on history. The last time that we suffered under such an out-of-touch presidency, well, we were lifted out of our malaise by a charismatic, positive, solution-oriented conservative who so loved this country and he put his faith in her people. We can't have the Gipper back, but we can offer that steady, smart, stiff-spine leadership that Reagan did, and that's our challenge. To paraphrase the great communicator, to give the people real hope, well, now is the time for bold, conservative colors, not establishment pale pastels. We need to ask who carries on Reagan's legacy, who will lead our freedom movement to victory, to begin that fundamental restoration of America. You answer that, Iowa, by making the GOP primary a competition, not a coronation. Our party is at a crossroad, and many voters, oh shoot, some in my own family even, they've lost faith in the GOP machine, and they're registering as independents. So many voters across the country, independent. They're looking for principle and patriotism over political party. And the good news is, though, in our party, our bench is deep. And considering some in the lineup, man, that's a good thing. It is good. Then we have a deep bench. And it's primary competition that will surface the candidate who's up to the test and can unify. And this person has to, because knowing what the media will do all throughout 2016 to all of us, it's going to take more than a village to beat Hillary. Well, okay, and here's how we do it, okay? We go on offense. We go on offense now, and we expect our GOP leaders in D.C. to get on offense, because we, the people, we realize that this is war. As I say, it is war for the solvency, the sovereignty of the United States of America. And we don't sit on our thumbs this next time when one of our own is being crucified and falsely accused of whatever the hip accusation of the day happens to be, right? Racism, sexism, whatever. Really, it's kind of Orwellian observing how that works, that rule of Saul Alinsky's, no doubt, that the left employs. Disgusting charges from the left that reverse them. You know, for it is they who point a finger, not really, they have triple that amount of fingers pointing right back at them, revealing that they are the ones who really discriminate and divide on color and class and sex. We call them out, we don't let them get away with it then. On gender, oh man, this one, on gender, it is they who defeat women. They shackle them to the good old boys running Washington, pimping this promise that, oh, they have to provide for the little lady's every need because they're there. A woman, she's just not capable. It's the left that does that. It isn't the right, it isn't conservatives. So we go on offense and we reveal the real war on women with truth, because we can handle the truth. We give that, then we give hope. We give hope and we give a real choice. And we walk it, we don't talk it, by proving to voters what works. And we do that by only supporting those who've actually done the job, who've cut government and incentivized the private sector and never compromised on freedom. And proof that that works, look at the conservative governors. They're accountable. They administer. They have these results all across the U.S. in conservative governors' offices. The results can't be argued. So we paint the contrast with bold colors, and we don't underestimate the wisdom of the people when we, on offense, give them the truth and the true state of the union, especially showing young people what's actually going on and teaching young people again, there ain't no such thing as a free lunch. There is no free college. There is no free birth control. There is no free phone. Someone pays. Someone always pays. So we undo that leftist thinking and teaching, that enabling. We counter it with reality, and we empower young kids again. We bring them on our side, and we make them know to get a buck, you get off your butt. We teach that again. And we get honest on national security. We give hope to the people that we need not, we will not succumb to evil. And we call it as it is. We address it. That must be, by the way, that 800-pound elephant in the room of the White House that the radical left won't even name. They won't even name the threat to our way of life today. We'll hit it. We'll name it. It is any Muslim who would choose evil, whose loyalty to a death cult perversion is so darkened and has deceived their soul that they actually think that they're welcome here to transform here? No. What we do, we strengthen our military, we respect our troops, and we let them, our troops as our gatekeepers, we let them tell jihadists, this is our house, get the hell out. And amnesty, we have to be candid, and the people deserve the candidness because that leads to solutions. They deserve solutions. Amnesty, no. The left and the rhinos, they would reward those whose first action here is to break the law. So no, we win with the wonderful immigrants who have built this country legally, and we secure their rights and their hard-fought opportunities. Together we shore up the deserving middle class that will be decimated under this unconstitutional executive amnesty. We also have to school our president, I guess, on the rules. An impatient president doesn't just get to trample our Constitution and ignore Congress just because he doesn't get exactly what he wants every time he wants it. It's, with all due respect to the office of the presidency, it's like an overgrown little boy who's just acting kind of spoiled. And moms, we don't put up with that, do we? No. Well, dads either, but no. In fact, this reminds me of Bristol. When she was a little girl in preschool, she can testify to this. She came home from preschool one day, and her cool teacher, her awesome teacher, beautiful, sharp woman whose family had come from Mexico years ago. And Bristol said, "Mom, Mrs. Huey's mommy and daddy, they are so happy that they got to come to America, and the daughter, she became a teacher. They're so happy, and they love this country so much that they named her after our country. My teacher's first name is Land." And I thought, land? Oh, poor guy. I mean, that's something maybe a Palin kid would have to suffer through the rest of their life. Oh. But no, Bristol hadn't gotten quite right. The teacher's real name was America. The parents had named her America. And so I was explaining that to Bristol. It's not land or globe, or it's America. And Mrs. Huey taught Bristol, all my kids, all of us, a lesson that our president must have missed when her students would whine about something not getting their way exactly as they wanted in that preschool class. She would sing this little mantra, America said, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. That is what our president must have missed growing up, because its insistence, its lawlessness of he trying to get his way, it tramples our Constitution. So from debt, and I won't even get into all the details of everything, but from debt, you know, normal people, when they're in a hole they don't want to be in, the first thing they do is stop digging. I don't know what is wrong with the leaders in this country who understand we are in a hole we don't want to be in, and they keep digging. But from debt to energy, proving that inherent link between American-made energy and prosperity and American-made energy and security, to solutions like the flat tax that we need, to stop this unhealthy new obsession that we're hearing about even on our side of the aisle with this subjective income gap that we're supposed to be so obsessed with right now. And no, we don't have to be obsessed with it. Not when everyone rises together with conservatives' proven free market principles that incentivize pursuing capital and investment and innovation, so it results in lasting prosperity for everyone. And to finally stop this overreaching bureaucracy, we get on offense and we drive in solutions and we be bold. I remember it was here in Iowa that I put forward in a speech some years ago that I guess they didn't listen to me because they didn't know anything about it. But here I said, why don't we decentralize the federal government? We have to be bold about this stuff. Shutter out-of-touch bureaucracy and move what's remaining across the country to the people. If there is to be a Department of Energy, put it where the energy is created. Pack up the U-Haul. What better place for the Department of Agriculture than in ag country, so they see how their policies affect the farmers and the ranchers who feed our country. Things like that. It must change. Things must change for this our government. Look at it. It isn't too big to fail. It's too big to succeed. It's too big to succeed so we can afford no retreads, or nothing will change with the same people and same policies that got us into the status quo. Another Latin word, status quo, and it stands for, man, the middle class, everyday Americans are really getting taken for a ride. That's status quo. And GOP leaders, by the way, you know, the man can only ride you when your back is bent, so strengthen it. Then the man can't ride you. America won't be taken for a ride because so much is at stake. And we can't afford politicians playing games like nothing more is at stake than, oh, maybe just the next standing of theirs in the next election. And we're not in the mood to give politicians a pass just because they happen to have a certain party initial right next to their name. Evidence of this, that it's not just us thinking this, but across the country. Look at the number of governors elected without a majority of the vote. That is the result of fired up, independent, and strong third-party candidates nowadays. In fact, it's at its highest level in the last 100 years. Alaska just elected a very strong conservative who formed an independent ticket in order to prove this, he be beholden to the people, not to obsessive party politics that result in the titles and the hierarchies and all the problems that come with that. Being beholden to the people. It is their record then, not their standing in the party, but their record that needs to be considered. And we cut them then if we want a fired up, unified base to get the GOP over the line to thwart the lies of the left and their politics of personal destruction. We got to cut the candidates who don't fit that bill of being beholden to the people. See, we'll vote for those who have a record to prove it. And voters of all stripes are desiring something to vote for this time. For their American dream, not just against tired, failed policies. They will vote for that American dream for their kids and their grandkids. So we have to be careful going through the primary process not to marginalize any independent, common sense conservative. Hey, let's also take the sign off the door to the Oval Office, you know, that one that said for a toilet, no girls allowed. Take that off the wall, okay? And we remember what Margaret Thatcher would always remind her constituents anyway, that if you want something said, you ask a man. If you want something done, you ask a woman. And America is ready to get stuff done. So we take the ball and we drive to victory, and we give real hope with real solutions grounded in time-tested truths. These solutions that will be brought to you by a competitor with a record to prove it. And then we're ready for Hillary. Now, I'm ready for Hillary. Are you? Are you coming? It was a few summers ago, my final thought here, a few summers ago, after a great day with friends and farmers and farm animals at your Iowa State Fair, that we loaded up the motorhome and we drove some hours over the border to Illinois, and we stopped along the way because my daughter Piper, she had never got to run through a maze in a cornfield. So little simple things like that, I mean, that shows you how exciting my life is. That was like the highlight of our trip. So Piper and her little cousin, they get to run through this maze for the very first time, and it really is like this all-Americana thrill for our family. And then driving through the small towns around here that glorify our nation, again, with those homes proudly waving the flag from the porch. And we pulled into Dixon as we crossed that state line. We pulled into Dixon, Illinois, and we turned on Hennepin Street. We stopped at a modest white clapboard home, and it had a pair of rocking chairs out on the front porch, and a neighbor came over and told us about the house. And he told us about the little boy who used to live in that house, and that his family couldn't afford the house to own it, so they rented it. Well, the little boy had a little tiny bedroom off the front of the house, and that's where he would listen to the radio, and he'd get his news, and he'd learn from that and his entertainment. And he'd play football in the front yard and ride his bike up and down the sidewalks, and, you know, just real life. And then as a teen, he was there working as a lifeguard there on the Rock River, where he saved 77 souls. And he grew up then to save a world from communism. And he inspired a nation to once again believe in itself. This little boy from humble beginnings that wasn't that far from here was, of course, Ronald Reagan. And he never forgot where he came from, those roots in the heartland. And his story is our story. It embodies the American dream. It's a dream that we all must be willing to sacrifice for and to fight for today, now more than ever. Together, dreaming that, living it, working for it, we can make sure that the dream lives and that we know that our best days are still ahead. And I have every confidence that when conservatives rise to that challenge and offer a real choice, we will have a rebirth of successful conservative leadership like Reagan gave us. And the American people will once again be inspired and be united as proud, secure citizens of the greatest nation in the history of the world. And I thank you, Iowa, for being a center of that. I say, God bless you, Iowa. God bless the United States of America. Thank you.